All right, well, so let me think. I think where I'd really like to start, first, we all think that we know a lot about walking, right? And many of us are walkers. And I think we, personally experience the physiological benefits of walking. But I would love for you to tell the story of the 62-year-old man who replicated the lifestyle of the 5,000-year-old mummy that they found in the Alps. And over a period of 3 months, and the physiological changes that he underwent as he took that trek across the Alps.
Yeah, so this story is a really important and interesting story. So are there any runners here? Anybody who does a marathon? So I'm not a runner. I'm not objecting to people who are runners, but if you want to be a naive, or if you're a naive runner and you want to run a marathon, it'll take you, what, 4-6 months of training, maybe more, and getting a nodding head at the back. It could be 9 months. It takes a lot to change your body to do that. But if you want to walk 1,200 kilometers, it takes your body about 2 weeks to get used to that. We are adapted to be preternaturally good walkers. And the story at the start of the book that I give is of a 62-year-old male who had previously lived a sedentary life and undertook to walk the Via Alpina, which is on the Italian and Swiss border. They hooked him up with a whole bunch of physiological pieces of kit, and off he went. And he knocked out about 18, 20, 24 kilometers a day, depending on the terrain. And it took about 7 to 10 days to get used to that. And he kept it up for the next 3 months without any trouble at all. And the point that I want to get across is our bodies readily adapt to regular long distance walking. And we know from observing, for example, people who live in non-mechanized societies, the Hadza in Tanzania have been very well studied. They walk, males typically 14 to 20 kilometers a day from about the age of 3 or 4. The oldest observed has been in their 80s, and they'll do that day in, day out. Females typically walk somewhere between 10 and 16 kilometers a day, again, from about the age of 3 or 4, all the way through the course of life. So it's something that we're readily adapted to, and we have forgotten because we've built a world where we don't walk much anymore.
And wasn't there some pretty substantial changes to his body during that period in terms of, there was of course some weight drop, but
loads of positive changes. Yeah. Inflammatory factors in his blood fell, cardiovascular disease risk factors fell, a whole series of things like that. His fat to body weight ratio fell, not as much as people might expect. And there's a reason for that our metabolism dynamically adjusts. And you don't lose as much weight from exercise as people think you do, because most of what you eat during the course of the day goes to the maintenance of ordinary bodily functions. But the kind of key things, cardiovascular disease, inflammatory factors, those kinds of things all fell, and really fell very, very substantially. And this is something that's replicated many, many times. If you observe people who, for example, the Camino is a very good place to do it. If you take people's bloods at the start and at the end, you find that what are called the pro-inflammatory factors fall very substantially. In fact, a friend of mine did the Camino a few years ago before the pandemic, and he met a German cardiologist who does the Camino every year for that reason.
Amazing. Right. And I think one of the things that I was actually struck by when reading that chapter was also that, and maybe it was not that chapter, but another, that you made a statement about the intensity of the exercise might not be as important as we think it is, that walking, in fact, has so many important benefits that, some of us think that we need to go to the gym and really have a heavy workout. And in fact, we're not actually getting that much more out of it than what we would if we were walking.
So this is, I think, we're really only getting to grips with understanding human metabolism, I think, in the last 5 or 10 years. And you've all heard the admonition, eat less, exercise more, as the route to losing weight. And that advice is nonsense. It doesn't work, just doesn't work. Because if you eat less, your metabolism slows. and you actually output less energy, and you may find actually you gain weight because you're actually not moving as much as you thought you were. But if you want to lose weight, what you need to do is shift your diet, eat lots of greens, and not eat lots of jellies. You know, we kind of know this, but the kind of the key point there is that if you want to use exercise, walking as a form of exercise, that's a good thing, but you need to ask yourself what sort of walking, under what circumstances, and when. So if you're trying to get cardiovascularly fit, walking can be very good for that. If you walk at a clip that stops you talking comfortably to somebody else, that's about the right rate. Or if you're finding it difficult to maintain an active conversation, that will do it for you. But if you're walking for other purposes, like today, we had a lovely stroll to get to know each other, social walking, you don't do that at a high speed. That's not a...
Oh, we didn't.
We didn't.
No.
I thought it was a gentle walk.
It was wonderful.